Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for a Sims 3 speed build today. This is a community lot in Majestic Valley, and it is a combination of a festival grounds and a new market space for my Sims to sell items to their fellow community members or residents. And the reason why I'm building this lot is because someone actually mentioned a little while ago in one of my Majestic Valley live stream recap videos that I should consider having an enclosed space for the market, given the during the colder months my Sims kind of struggle to make any sales at the market because Sims don't really go to the park when it's cold. So I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to build something that is not wholly for the market, but also has another purpose. And I thought it would be good to make a festival grounds for the community now, just so that there is something more to do. Because at the moment we've got the tavern, we've got the park as well. But I just felt like there needed to be, just a little something extra so that my Sims have more options. Now, in terms of the budget, actually I need to bring up my spreadsheet because I can tell you how much debt the town is in now. But it's a lot because I did not have the funds available to build something this extravagant. I did want the building to be kind of extravagant and grand, and I want it to be kind of like a historical looking building so that it has a long lifespan, basically. Like, I think this building is going to be here for a while and it'll probably remain relatively unchanged. So I did want to go all out with it and deck it out, really. And including the essentially when you build a festival lot, you're doing, I guess, 4 different versions or 5 actually, of the same lot. So there is a version for each season, and then there is also the default state. So when there's no seasonal objects around, it's called the common state. There's also that version, and basically that is the version that has all the objects that stay on the lot no matter what season it is. So I can tell you right now that the town is now in 110,000 simoleons in debt. So it's going to take a long time for me to pay off this building, and I won't be building any new community lots until this building here is paid off, just to make it a little less cheaty. I really wanted my Sims for my town to be self-sufficient so that they could only, make addition or add additions to the town when they could afford it. In this instance, they couldn't afford this type of lot, so I was happy to kind of, give them some leeway and give them a loan, so we can just pretend that the loan has come from the outside economy. Although I'm thinking, because the Beauforts make a ton of money, I'm thinking about having them donate some money to the community, just so that this build can be paid off a bit faster. But yeah, so no new community lots until this one is paid off. And so I did kind of want it to be, more of a special lot given that situation. Now, as I'm working on the exterior of the building here, I'm going to tell you that this building was an absolute nightmare to put together. So what you're seeing me do here is actually the second time around me building this lot. That's because the first time around, everything was fine, right up until I started playtesting it. And what I noticed, first of all, was whenever I would kind of exit the lot and, bring a Sim over to see what it looked like, sometimes objects would move, and particularly windows, doors. There were instances where even columns and stuff would just move about, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why. And I thought that maybe the lot was bugged, and so I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to build it over again. Also because when I was actually kind of trying to figure out what was going on, my save file corrupted. So luckily, thank goodness, I had a backup. If it wasn't for NRAR Saver, I would have lost my entire Majestic Valley save. And, you know, I have the NRAR Saver save in intervals of 4, so it creates, you know, 4 unique save games. I had one save game left that was not corrupt that I could go back to. If I didn't have that save file, I would have completely lost this game, and I was almost in tears when I thought that I had actually lost the save. You know, I was going and checking each save, and I got to save number 3, and I was like, it was when I got to save number 3 and that one was corrupt, then I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually about to cry. It was corrupt in the sense that none of the saves would load. Even if I took all my mods out, when I tried to load the save, the game would crash. And then when I checked the 4th save, that one was fine. So yeah, the lot corrupted, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to this first save and just build it again. Maybe there was something buggy, and you know, that's why the save was corrupted and I couldn't load, because there was actually something really wrong with the lot. So this is my second attempt building it. So the exterior comes together quite quickly, and you can see that it's kind of facing, because it's a corner lot, but it is, I guess the front of the building is facing towards the park. And it's not really an entryway at the moment, and I really wanted the doors to be on the diagonal wall, so that the entrance looked like it was on the diagonal part of the build. And I thought that, and this is, you know, the issues that I was encountering, I thought that I wasn't able to place these double doors here on a diagonal that has a platform on it, because, you know, normally you can't place doors on platforms. You have to use move objects to place them there. And I thought I couldn't do that because in the previous build, when I was you know, I would go into you know, neighborhood view mode, or I would come and check out this lot to play test it. The doors that were on the diagonal wall kept disappearing, and then the doors that were on like a straight wall would stay. That would be fine. And then I thought, oh well, maybe I can't place doors on a diagonal wall that is on a platform. So then in the second time around, I tried to kind of accommodate that by having the doors on the side of the building rather than on the in the middle, on the diagonal part there. And it stays this way for almost the entirety of the build until I actually start to figure out why I'm experiencing issues, because I built this lot at the second time around, and then towards the end of it, I was still having issues. And so I just really couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I finally came to the realization that it seems to be unique to festival lots that objects, or not all objects, kind of build mode objects, so windows, columns, fireplaces, archways, if they are obstructed by any objects that are placed near them using move objects. So if you try and place an object, you know, right next to a window, and normally you wouldn't do it, like the game wouldn't let you, would say, you know, you can't place an object here. If you override that with move objects on a festival lot, the door or window, whatever has been kind of obstructed by the object that was placed with move objects, will move, or it will disappear. So it took me a good 2 days to figure that out. And by the time I was done with this, like at the end of this lot, I was just so ready to move on. I was just exhausted by the amount of work that I had put into it, and it was looking really good, and I really liked the way it turned out. And yeah, so I was really wanting to keep it, like I really wanted this build to be in the game, but yeah, I was just so tired from all the troubleshooting that by the time I had it done, yeah, I was totally ready to move on. The other thing is that when I figured out the issue that, you know, move objects kind of disrupted object placement, I came back and kind of adjusted some of the build to be more what I originally wanted it to be. So I wanted the doors to be on, the double doors to be on the diagonal wall. I came back and changed that, and I also did a few other changes, but unfortunately I forgot to record it. And yeah, that was just one of the other things, because I would start recording some of the build stuff, and then I would encounter an issue, and then I would stop recording. And so I was stopping and starting recording a lot, and it just turns out that when I was I guess putting the building in its final state, the state that it is right now, I just forgot to record it. So there's going to be a unique kind of overview of this build where I won't show any screenshots. I'm actually going to take you into the game and we'll just look at the building as it is right now. And yeah, so I don't normally do that. Normally I just show off the build with screenshots, but because I don't have any sort of footage of me showing how it got to its final state, I'll just do like a little overview. So we'll at the end of the build, we will just shoot off into the game and take a look at it. So now I can actually start talking about the build and the details about it. So you can see here I'm working on the exterior and getting that all finalized. So I just really want the exterior to look the way I want it to look before I start moving on to the interior. So you can see it's got the building on one side, and then there's kind of this courtyard, and because it's a festival lot, I wanted there to be enough space for some activities. Now because I'm playing in kind of a historical save, so like a Victorian kind of era save at the moment, my Sims are progressing through time, so it will change eventually, but because it's in like Victorian times right now, there's no electricity, so I was quite limited in terms of the activities I could give my Sims to do, and I feel like, compared to a normal festival lot in a Sims 3 game, this one is definitely lacking in terms of activities, but there's definitely stuff to do, and it's definitely, I wanted the activities here to be unique, so they're nowhere else in town. And yeah, so I tried to make it unique in some way. So continuing on with the exterior here, so I'm just doing the final details. It is looking very boxy right now, especially on the side that doesn't have the wraparound porch. But I do come back and fix that. That was done in the session that I didn't record, so you won't see me do that in the speed build, but we will see it when we go and check out the building actually in the game. But you can see it's got a lot of levels. So there's, the first floor that actually has the platform, and I did that because I wanted to break up the front of the build so it looked a little kind of elevated, but not. And I was thinking of doing a ground, like a one-step foundation. But I didn't do that because, there's issues with lighting, especially if I wanted to have like a split level build where if it was on a one level foundation and then it kind of dropped to the ground level again. If I did that with a normal foundation, one level foundation, I mean one step foundation. If I did that and it dropped into this part here, then there would be lighting issues, and I didn't want to deal with that, so I just used a platform instead, or the stage tool. I can't remember if it's called the stage. I know it's called the stage tool in The Sims 2. I can't remember if it's called the platform tool in The Sims 3. I think it's definitely the platform tool in The Sims 4. Maybe it's still called the platform tool in The Sims 3. Maybe it's called the stage tool in The Sims 3. I don't know, but anyway, you know what tool I'm talking about. So yeah, I just wanted the platform to make it, look a little more interesting, visually interesting, and I think it kind of adds to the grand nature of the building. So you can see I'm placing a fireplace in, and what I really, really wanted, and I probably could go back and do it now, but I think it's just going to be too much work. I really wanted the building, or this room here, I wanted the fireplace to be the focal point. But again, I was having issues with the fireplace moving about whenever I would exit the lot and come back. So I did take the fireplace out in the end, but yeah, I think now it would be okay if I came back and kind of put the fireplace in. But the thing is, I've already built and placed all the objects. everywhere that, and I haven't taken into account a fireplace being in the build, so I would have to go and rearrange everything. But also, I wouldn't really be able to clutter that much around the fireplace. And in one of the seasons, it is quite cluttered. Well, the fall season, autumn, is going to be very cluttered. You'll see me when I start to decorate for the fall season that it does get quite cluttered. And if I kind of had to, have bare spaces or empty spaces around the fireplace, I thought it looked kind of like it would look kind of weird. So I may consider coming back and doing it maybe when this isn't a festival lot anymore. I think this wouldn't be a good place for like a wedding venue. And just a minor spoiler, you're going to see it anyway. This is a wedding venue during the spring season. So during spring, there's actually like a wedding arch and like a little wedding setup. But maybe when the festival the festival grounds kind of move somewhere else, which I envision they would do. This isn't really the best place for a festival ground, but I really needed somewhere that was enclosed for the market, and I just wanted to add another building to the world, to be honest. So yeah, the festival stuff is all on the ground floor here, and then the upstairs is where the market is going to be. And the market is there simply because, as I said, Sims needed somewhere to sell their goods that was enclosed, and where other Sims would actually be going during the winter time. And so I feel like you'll see that it's a little bit out of place when we do look at the market and how it kind of comes together. It is a little bit out of place, but I feel like the town has kind of made an exception for the market because they've heard the stall owners and their plight, that they don't really have much business over the winter months because it's just too cold. People don't come to the park, so they really needed an enclosed space. And so because this building was being built to accommodate the festival grounds to so that the Sims had more kind of recreational activities to do, they did make some accommodations for the market, but it's only going to be temporary until there is a dedicated space for the market. And I may play, I haven't really figured out where that's going to be, but in the end, the end goal is maybe after a couple of iterations of this town, I think I'm going to make like a farmer's market where all the original market goods that kind of started this town, that were being sold and started this town, I think they will just move on to the farmer's market and be like a novelty rather than something that actually is fundamental to the town's economy. You might hear my dishwasher in the background. I had to pause the cycle so that I could actually come and do this voiceover. So yeah, if you hear some beeping, I do apologize. But it was either I talk over the voiceover, over the dishwasher, I pause it and listen to some beeping every now and then, or I do the voiceover later. But I actually am in the mood to do it now. So here we are. So I think if I move to fall now, no, I've moved to fall now. And with the fall season, this is really fun. So I have the Le Cirque Esprit. I think that's how it's, what I can see on the screen here, Le Cirque Esprit. The store set here, and it's a really cool kind of old-fashioned looking set. It almost looks like a festival set, but like a really, kind of like an old circus. And so I really wanted to use this set in this build because I think it fits the time period really well. And it's colorful and it's got some fun objects. There's not a lot in the set, so things do get a bit repetitive. You can see here I'm using the same kind of wall picture 4 times. But I think it just adds to the this kind of like almost like a traveling fair kind of vibe. So you can see I'm using that mostly throughout this build, and I've got it was just on the screen as well, but that playground for the kids there. Another thing I do is I put in another store item here, and that's the I don't even know what the name of it is, the hypnotizer thing. and I wanted that to be like the focal point of the fall festival, where almost like there's this traveling circus that comes around and hypnotizes people, but there's no NPCs associated with this object here, so it's basically your own Sims. The Sims in my town will come and use it, but just to give the impression that it is kind of like a traveling circus kind of festival. Yeah, I thought I would just throw in this kind of hypnotizer machine and have it as it's like a show that's put on for the residents. So yeah, I thought that was quite cool, and I have done some playtesting with it, and it is quite funny. I've never used it before, and yeah, it is quite entertaining to watch. So yeah. Now with the decorations, I don't really do much initially. I kind of just place some objects around, I place in some basic stuff, but then I come back later and I kind of clutter it up. I did want the fall decor to be much more cluttered because, like I said, I want it to look like a traveling kind of festival or circus, and so I did want it to be kind of cluttered up with a lot of kind of novel items and just really give it a kind of like a funky, quirky, old-fashioned vibe. Another object that I do place is the crystal ball. So that's also going to be on this lot as another activity for Sims to do in the fall. And that's also another store item. And I haven't, like, I know Sims use it autonomously. They also use the hypnotizer autonomously. But I haven't done much gameplay with it yet. I didn't really test it. Like, I saw that Sims could sit down and use it, but I wasn't really paying attention to the gameplay. The hypnotizer it's much more obvious when that's going on. The crystal ball, it kind of, it makes some noise. But yeah, so we'll probably see that in more of the streams. But what I wanted to do with the crystal ball is have it right out the front. I wanted to put this like little tent behind it to make it look like, this is one of the people who travels with the circus, and they're a fortune teller, and they've got their little setup here at the very front of the lot so that they can stop any passers-by and rip them off for however many simoleons and tell them a bogus fortune. So that's set up right at the front here. There's also the apple bobbing? I don't know half the names of half the things that I'm talking about, but the apples in a bath, basically. That's here, and I'm placing around a lot of hay to give it, the classic kind of Sims 3 fall theme. And those are basically most of the activities, at least. Anyway, there's also, I placed the jelly bean plant, the magic jelly bean plant, and that scarecrow. I know that has some cool interactions, and also the mirror that came from Supernatural, the mirror on the mirror. I think I don't know. I'm not even just the mirror with some interactive gameplay. So those are kind of the interactive objects for the fall season, and then there is also, I'm thinking of the other seasons now, but with the fall season, yeah, just coming through and kind of just playing around with the items, the placement of the items. There's this cool kind of spider in a display, like a glass display, so I put that at the entryway. Now I've moved over to the, I think I'm back in the the common state of the lot, because I just wanted to decorate the back entrance here just with some clutter, and I also needed to do the bathroom. I forgot to do that before, so just coming and doing that. There's lots of signs everywhere just to the main signs are the ones that show that the market is actually here, that the market's upstairs, but then there's also signs for the fall festival. You would have seen the signs for the circus set, and also I wanted to put some clutter around the place just to show that this is a place where I guess people from out of town come to put on shows. So there's some luggage out the back, and I'm just doing the bathroom. You can see the recolors that I did. I had most of them, especially for the walls and the floor. I had most of them put together because in the build, the first time around that I built this lot, and I realized that I had to build it again, I went and saved all the textures, the custom textures that I made, just so I didn't have to do them again. So you can see that I've just kind of placed a lot of them quite quickly. So now I'm actually moving on to the Spring Festival, or am I? Yes, I think I am now, yes. So I'm moving on to the Spring Festival, and so this one is nowhere near as, well, none of the other festivals really are nowhere near as kind of cluttered as the Fall Festival. That's mainly because I wanted the Fall Festival, as I said, to look like a traveling kind of circus. And so that's why it was all kind of cluttered and lots of decorations everywhere. But the spring season, I wanted it to look a lot neater because it is going to be will function as like a wedding venue. There are some activities, so you saw that I put the horseshoe game out the outside there in the courtyard. But the interior is basically got the wedding arch, and then it's got a buffet table, and I also put like a little bar as well. And this is really cool because I do have a couple that really need to get married, and I wasn't too keen on kind of making a makeshift wedding spot at the park. So what I'm going to do, that's for Celestine and Victoria, what I'm going to do is have their wedding here, and it'll be in the springtime too, so it'll be much nicer rather than in the autumn or the winter when kind of the world is looking a bit drab. In the springtime, so they can come here and get married, and it's all set up for them, so I don't really need to do any work. So we've got some we've got a nice archway there, and this is where I'm kind of upset about the fireplace, because I love how the fireplace is the backdrop to the wedding arch. But in the end I do have to take it away because, like I said, I was having issues with it moving about every time I entered and exited and entered the lot. But in the end it looks fine, and I'm happy with how it turns out. So it's not like it's the absolute end of the world that I wasn't able to get it exactly the way I wanted it. And then what am I doing here? I think actually this is where I discovered, you can see the fireplace was moving, and then I was just so fed up, so I just got rid of it. And I did experiment with having it on the flat wall, because I thought initially that it was because the fireplace was on a diagonal, but it wasn't. It's probably because of these candle lamps or floor lamps that I've got next to it, and probably those logs as well. It was too close to the fireplace, so it was causing it to jump about. Now I'm moving on to the Summer Festival, and this one's very basic. The exterior has, like another playground for the children, and it has the water balloon arena, and inside it's just got some spaces where Sims can eat. There's 2 buffet tables, and I did that because food in the summertime is going to be abundant, whereas in the wintertime there's kind of a food shortage because the growers, their crops, they can't produce anything from their crops in the wintertime. So the Summer Festival gets 2 buffet tables, and I also put some plants around, some kind of summery looking plants, so these kind of fan palms, and also some palm trees out the front of the building, which I think will look really cool in the summertime. And so the Summer Festival and the Winter Festival are a bit bare, and I guess it's kind of, if I really did go all out with the summer and the winter items, then the build would end up costing a lot more. But also, just I was kind of, like I said, I'm playing in a like a historical save, so I can't really use any of the activities that have some sort of electricity associated with them. I do think I have the popcorn machine for fall, and that was like the one liberty that I was willing to take, just because the fall season had no food stands or anything like that. It didn't have any buffet tables. So I did sneak in a popcorn machine there. And I also used put it in the foosball machines for the winter festival. So there is some activities to do in the winter time. So you can see I've taken out the fireplace and just kind of filled up the space where it was. And then I've come back to the fall festival, and I've just started adding in some more decorations really. You can see the market here. So the other thing is the market, I don't know what happened to the footage of it. Maybe I wasn't recording, but here is all the stuff that I did with the market upstairs. So I did want to kind of, one of the things that the market stall owners had to do was they had to make their stalls look a little nicer so that they actually fit a bit better in the room with all the kind of thing, the grand wall decor and the nice floors and stuff. So they had to kind of tidy up their market stalls, and so I made them all matching. Basically, I made the tops, kind of the covers, all match Celeston's because I feel like he had the nicest. And I just kind of made sure the clutter was a bit tidier so that there wasn't a lot of stuff just lying about, but I did still want it to look like a market. So it's a bit out of place, but it is undercover and I feel like it looks somewhat nicer. So yeah, now I'm back in the fall festival. I think earlier I said that I was doing some more cluttering, so here I am actually putting in some more clutter in the fall festival. So I put some more objects underneath this tent, and I put a divider behind it so that I guess the person who runs this little shady business here kind of has some privacy. And then I'm just doing some recoloring as well of these seats just so that things looked a little more consistent. So I'm back inside. You can see the popcorn machine is there in the corner, but I had to move that outside because that was causing the window behind it to move about. But now I'm just kind of coming inside and just adding in some more clutter just to make the place look, like I said, more like a traveling kind of circus. So there's this mermaid on a shelf here. I've got this little horse that I've recolored purple, and I just went through the catalog and looked for things that just looked kind of weird. I did kind of play around with the rugs, and I thought about having the rugs cover the entire floor, but I felt like that just looked a little too chaotic. But yeah, I just came in and added some more clutter. So we've got this kind of gothic vase here. I put a lot of those around, and I also put in some plants, and I'm recoloring the chairs here because I really like the color of the chairs. I like the blue, but the blue wasn't really anywhere else, and I think it was the theme of the festival kind of had more of a purple and black color scheme, so I brought that purple and black, or at least the black. I put that on the chairs. And you can see I've just placed in some end tables, and I'm placing some objects around these end tables as well. Now that I'm seeing this footage, I'm just remembering one of the other things is when I was doing the cluttering of this section, I got to about, I have my save intervals every 30 minutes, and I got to about maybe 28 minutes and my game crashed. So I had to come back and do it all again. So it really was a struggle, and it's going to give me nightmares for a long time. But you can see here that there is a lot more kind of decor around the place, and more clutter just to make it look a little more full and kind of more interesting to look at, I guess. For the spring season here, so I'm actually just coming and recoloring the chairs, and I am putting in a few more decorations. So there's these kind of hanging sheets, and then we are going to go into the game. Okay, so here we are in game, and all I'm going to do here is just show you the structural changes that I made to the build off camera in the footage that doesn't exist, that I didn't even record. So the main thing that you can probably tell is the doors are no longer on the side. I rearranged the front of the building so that the doors now are on the diagonal here. And with the roof, so it now wraps around the entire building, and I think that just makes the building look a little less boxy, and I've kept the cornice going all the way around just so it looks a little more interesting. So I am actually going to show you some screenshots because now that you've seen what the changes that I've made to the exterior, it's not really going to be a surprise in the screenshot. So I will leave you to those, and I will say thanks so much for watching. It's been a pleasure to bring this speed build to you today. It definitely wasn't a pleasure to put together, but I got there in the end. So yeah, that's it from me. Take care, and I will talk to you later.